Hello North Central, I'm here with North Central graduate and head of the Super Bowl committee, Mark Miles, here for NCHS Live. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, pleasure.
So, while you were at North Central, what did you see yourself doing?
I think at the time, a long time ago, if I can remember correctly, I thought I'd go to law school after Wabash College and, who knows, practice law. I was interested in civic events and maybe political events, but if I had a thought about my future, it probably was law school.
Law school. Okay, and what's one of your favorite North Central memories?
Well, it's sort of a bad news, good news one, I guess. I was the last guy in the school who ever wanted to get up on the stage and do anything in drama or music, other than the fact that I played an instrument. But nothing live myself. And I remember the year, or the feeling in my junior year when one of the hot girls called and said, "We need you to be in Junior Spectacular." And they'd written, of course, a musical, and I eventually said yes, and then myself and a bunch of my buddies ended up in this can-can line and singing songs. And so, you know, at one level it was the last thing I wanted to do. On the other hand, given that I remember it all these days later, all these years later, it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the name of the spec? Do you remember the name of the spec?
The refrain was, "Who will wed our beautiful Maybelle?" So it was taken from, you know, the Labner cartoon strip.
Okay.
I don't actually remember the name of the show.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And now you're working on the Super Bowl for Indianapolis. And how did you get involved in that?
Well, the mayor called. Mayor Ballard was mayor-elect in January of 2008. Hadn't been sworn in yet. And he said he'd been given a lot of thought. He wasn't sure as a candidate whether we ought to go after getting the Super Bowl again. We tried once previously and I wasn't involved in that bid. He said, you know, he thought we ought to go for it, and my background ended up being in large part in sports. I had managed as a volunteer the professional men's tennis tournament in Indianapolis, and then I was the president of the organizing committee for the Pan American Games before y'all were born. And then I left town, and for 15 years was basically the commissioner, the president and CEO of the men's professional tennis circuit worldwide. So I'd done a lot of sports and kind of knew my way around Indianapolis, I guess, and the mayor just thought maybe I'd be the right person to help put the bid together. And I said, kind of reluctantly, okay, but at the time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue to do it if we got it for the full 4 years that it would take to actually have the game. So originally I signed up to work on the bid, we got it, and then I started thinking about all the things we could do with it, and that was 4 years ago.
Sure. And what are some of the things that you really hope to see the Super Bowl do for Indianapolis? Sure. And what are some of the things that you really hope to see the Super Bowl do for Indianapolis?
Yeah, well, that's really these are the reasons that I did it. You know, obviously the Super Bowl is a cool sports event, and there's a lot of interesting social activity around it. But for us, the real reason to spend so much time on it as a volunteer for 4 years is the things it can do for the community. The biggest thing is we decided to make the so-called Super Bowl Legacy Project to see what we could do to help the residents of the Near East Side, which is a near downtown community just kind of at the end of Mass Avenue, an area that's been challenged by all kinds of social issues for the last several decades. And as of now, more than $150 million has been raised for that, and it will completely make new or redo 200 units of housing. There's a brand new 26,000 square foot kind of wellness and fitness facility that is being built on the Arsenal Technical High School campus that's available to the neighbors as well as the kids in IPS and the Tech High School. And then there's a lot of new investment along the old business corridor, which is East 10th Street. So I think as a broader community, we will have helped the people of that particular neighborhood get themselves farther faster against their own plan for their neighborhood, and that's probably the thing we're most proud of.
Sure. And what other changes will we see downtown as we get closer to the Super Bowl?
Well, if you've been downtown over the last year, you know that a lot of it's been torn up, and it's great that people have kind of been patient about that, but The most conspicuous, exciting thing maybe is on Georgia Street. Georgia Street is right downtown, is 3 blocks long. So if you know where Conseco Fieldhouse is, the street on the west side of that building, going north and south, is Pennsylvania. And right in the middle of Conseco, the street that hits it going east and west, is Georgia Street. If you go west from Penn on Georgia Street, the next block is Meridian, then Illinois, then Capitol, and that's it. So it connects Conseco with the new convention center. That has been the beneficiary of about $13 million in investment. The whole street's remade. Now there are these towers that you can hang lights and sound equipment. There'll be 2 stages. The stage on the the east end at Penn and Georgia, looking down Georgia Street, is a big enough stage for U2 or any band in the world. And there's a smaller stage at Meridian in Georgia. At one end, the far west end on Capitol Street, just for the Super Bowl, there'll be zip lines that go down from 7 stories up down the length of that street. It's going to be very, very cool. And it's not for the Super Bowl per se. It would be crazy to spend that kind of money to redo a street for one event. All that money went into the infrastructure for the street itself. The Super Bowl committee's paying to make it work for the Super Bowl. So it's there after the game for our big festivals as a community, like the Circle is, and for the convention industry to rent out to conventions that come into town during that kind of weather. It should be a really cool space for a long, long time.
And what do you hope visitors to Indianapolis during the Super Bowl take away from the city?
Yeah, that it's the perfect place, that maybe it'll be cold outside, but there won't be another Super Bowl that is so perfectly compact. I've been to lots of them, and they're all great in their own way, they're all different, but for most of them, you know, where your hotel is, from where the game is, from where the NFL experience is, and different things, it's almost always an hour away to everything. They're typically very spread out. Here, for people who come into town and who stay downtown in hotels, they can park their car and not look for it again for 4 days. And as you guys know, many of the big facilities, hotels, parking garages, Lucas Oil Stadium, the convention center, they're all connected even by these enclosed pedestrian pathways. So it's a perfect place to create a Super Bowl party in a way that I think is more like we think of for the Final Four in basketball. A real tight-knit wild party for about 10 days.
And day to day, what are you doing to prepare for the Super Bowl?
Well, I'm a volunteer. I'm the chairman of the board of directors. As such, I spend about 30 hours a week trying to help. We have a paid staff now that's about 28 people, that's full-time and then some, and we have over 13,000 volunteers. I spend a great deal of my time trying to help raise the resources and get things done on the Near East Side Legacy Project. I spend a couple hours a week maybe dealing with the league and trying to run interference for our staff, and basically trying to make sure that the staff and the volunteers have the resources of the whole community at their disposal, and that if there are things that come up that need to be worked through, I can try to help with problem solving.
All right, and what part of the Super Bowl, all the events and everything, are you personally most excited for?
The Village. So the Super Bowl Village on Georgia Street, this big party that'll be distinctively about Indianapolis, sort of Times Square meets Super Bowl.
What kind of entertainment will be there?
Well, we're not going to announce that yet, but we've got these 2 big stages, and the Super Bowl Village will be open for 10 nights.
Okay.
So it's going to start the Friday of the weekend before the weekend of the Super Bowl and go straight through. And I think that I've shared at least one of the names with my own young college-age kids, and I think that there will be reasons to go downtown.
We should expect to see some big names?
I think there'll be some big names.
All right. And last question, who do you predict will be in the Super Bowl?
Oh, you know, if it's not the Colts, and it's not looking good for the Colts at the moment, I tend to then think less about the teams that I personally like and more about the teams that where I think the crowds will travel most. So you'd have to think Green Bay, because it's far enough that people will have to spend the night, and it's close enough that everybody up there can drive and they love their pack. So I think the Packers would be great, and then teams from the AFC like Pittsburgh would be unbelievable, maybe New Orleans, but you know, whoever, it's a Super Bowl. There'll be 100 to 150,000 visitors, and we only have 70,000 tickets, so the place will be packed and it'll be a lot of fun.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, pleasure.